I think that Matt Rule just does not have a clue on how to run an offense.
Luke Getsky should be fired. He should be fired today.
I'll stand by you. My God, bro, you got smoked.
Welcome to Faze Fantasy Live with your host, Lonnie Z.
Welcome to the show, everybody. It's your boy, Lonnie Z, and this is Faze Fantasy Live. This is our Thursday night football preview. Seahawks, Cardinals in the desert. It's going to be a really, really, really good game tonight, I believe. These two teams always play each other tough, always. And both of their defenses have been good this year. So let's get into this game. Let's check it out. Let's break it down, and let's see if we can't come up with who we believe is going to take this one tonight. All right, so now Seattle, they've leaned heavily on Sam Darnold's steady play, Jackson Smith-Njigba becoming a true number one, and Kenneth Walker doing just enough to keep that running game going and keep defenses honest. But what we really haven't seen much of is Cooper Kupp. Now, Cooper Kupp, he could just be almost done. He could be cooked. I don't know. But we really haven't seen much of him involved in this offense. And so I look for them to get him a little more involved tonight, see if they can't get him a few more touches. Also, defensively, Seattle's been really good. They've had a solid defense. They've played well all season long. Their record is 2-1, and a lot in part to that really stout defense. They really have a well-rounded team. Sam Darnold has played great. Nothing spectacular, but he's played good enough to run this offense the way it needs to be run and to keep it managed. In the backfield, you have Kenneth Walker III, who last week, if you have him on your fantasy team, you are happy that he got a couple touchdowns. His yardage wasn't very high, but they used him in the red zone because Zach Charbonnet was not available. Now, Zach Charbonnet is trending towards playing tonight. He has a foot injury, and he did practice this week. So he's trending towards playing, but we won't know until about 90 minutes before the game. So keep that monitored because that could play into, say, some of your daily fantasy stuff. If you have redraft, you're going to play Kenneth Walker III regardless. On the flip side, if you're looking at Arizona, now the Cardinals, their defense has been pretty good too. Matter of fact, they only gave up 16 points to the San Francisco 49ers, and they still lost that game. And 2 of them was on a safety. 2 points were on a safety. So what that tells me is that their offense has been sputtering. And, they just lost James Conner all for this full season. So that means Trey Benson is going to be the number one back. And I think, personally, it's an upgrade. Trey Benson is dynamic. He's a game breaker. He's a big play waiting to happen. And that's something they didn't have with James Conner. So I expect for the defense of Seattle to prepare for that. And what can that do? That can open up Marvin Harrison Jr., Tre McBride. I mean, let's just face it, Marvin Harrison Jr. has been kind of a disappointment as far as for fantasy is concerned and football. He just really has not been that same kid that we saw coming out of Ohio State. He has not lived up to the namesake, that's for sure yet. And I know it's a small sample size. He had a season last year and just a few games this year, but he's dropping some balls. He's not looking like he's really catching on to the NFL game fully, like he's not embracing it just yet. And I know he can because I know he's talented. So I think that with the emergence of Trey Benson in that backfield, that's going to have to make defenses prepare for that a little more differently than they would have for James Conner. Although James Conner is very, very consistent and a great running back, he no longer pose that threat of he can break a 60-yarder on you at any given time. Or if he catches the ball in a flat, he can take it to the house. That's what Trey Benson brings to this table. And when that happens, that means defenses have to prepare for that. So I would look for his explosiveness to open up avenues for Marvin Harrison, because that could maybe unlock Harrison. That could free him up to get him open, to get him to where he gets a little more space and he's able to play like we expect him to play. Now, Tre McBride is one of the most, I mean, come on, this guy's just great. He's one of the most consistent tight ends that we've seen in a long time. Now, he doesn't score a lot of touchdowns. He did have one last week, which was great, but you can always just count on double digits out of that tight end slot, which is huge in fantasy football because it's such a volatile position. So if you have him, you're sitting pretty, because every time he scores a touchdown, it becomes a boom week for him. You're getting into maybe the 20s, 19, 20 points when he gets a touchdown. So look for Tre McBride tonight to get opened up a little bit. And I think one of the keys for Arizona, if they want to win tonight's game, they have to look for McBride in the red zone. Now, historically, he's not a touchdown scorer. Even back to his high school days, he wasn't scoring a lot of touchdowns. His college years, he was not scoring a lot of touchdowns, but he's always caught a lot of passes and gained a lot of yards and done damage that way. But I think they really need to look for him in the red zone because this guy's a beast. But ultimately, what it comes down to, the Cardinals defense has been very solid this year, and I expect them to continue to be solid tonight. But what it comes down to, what it really ultimately comes down to is Kyler Murray. And can Kyler Murray get back to his old self, to where he was making good decisions, he was making plays, he was making things happen? Kyler Murray this year has not been very good. He's not been very consistent. And if you have him on your fantasy team, he's kind of been a nightmare. He's not giving you a big game yet. So tonight is a good night for him to break out. Unfortunately, he's got to do it against a pretty stout defense. So I would try to get the ball into Trey Benson's hands as much as possible, maybe 20 touches tonight. And I think if you do that, if you're the Cardinals and you do that, establish the running game, then that's going to open up Marvin Harrison Jr. That's going to open up Tre McBride. It's going to get everyone else involved and hopefully help Kyler Murray. He's just got to play better, though. Bottom line, Kyler Murray needs to play better. I think I have if all that happens, that's a path to victory for the Cardinals. But I can't guarantee any of those things will happen because I haven't seen it yet this year. So based on that, I'm going to take Seattle 24-21. And like I said, Zach Charbonnet is trending towards playing, so keep an eye out for that. For fantasy, start sit. Obviously, you start Jackson Smith-Njigba, Kenneth Walker III, Tre McBride, Trey Benson, Marvin Harrison Jr. You have to start him if you drafted him this year. You have to start him every week. And Kyler Murray, if you have him, if he's your only quarterback, well, I guess you have to start him. But if you have another option, tonight might be a good night to check out that other option and put him on the bench for a week and just not start him. On defense, you can trust Seattle's defense. You can go ahead and run them out there tonight. If you're looking for FanDuel and daily fantasy stuff, I would say Jackson Smith-Njigba, Kenneth Walker, Tre McBride, Trey Benson, all those guys are in play. Marvin Harrison's in play. Even Kyler Murray could be in play tonight. He's probably kind of expensive. Look for Horton, the receiver from Seattle. Look for him in this game on some daily stuff. Zach Charbonnet, if he plays, is going to be a little cheaper. So, and he may get split the touches because that's what they were trending. They were kind of splitting touches the first 2 weeks of the season until he got hurt. But he did have a foot injury, and I don't know if he'll be on a snap count tonight or not. But Charbonnet would be in play. I just think it's going to be a good game. Another one of those NFC West battles. And we should be entertained. We should. get your lineups in. If you're going to do some daily stuff, get those in, getting those good $3 and $4 tournaments on FanDuel where you can win a lot of money. And that's what we got. I think you're in store for a good matchup tonight. Thanks for listening. I'm Lonnie, and we will catch you on the next one.